One of the things that's always amazed me is just the opportunities that we have. Anybody can come out here and do exactly what I'm doing right now. Get a tent, snow machine. I saw somebody out here yesterday with a quad. They're out here with a four-wheeler. Come out with a four-wheeler and pull your stuff out. But anybody could come out here. Realistically, I am not more than 4 miles in. 3 or 4, maybe 5 miles. I'm not very far from the road system. And so anybody can do this. So I guess I would encourage you, if you're watching this thinking, yeah, maybe that's for me, I would encourage you to try it out. I'm going to put this in the things you don't see every day in the wintertime in Anchorage. We got a foot of snow yesterday. Yesterday was the Iditarod ceremonial start. So today we're heading out to Willow to check out the timed start. So this is the real deal today. The highway's completely closed. I was fortunate enough to get around here. Kind of, holy smokes, look at that. That's going to be closed for a while. I'm lucky that I went around. What all do we got going on here? Holy. So we got a little convoy happening here, and somebody had a boo-boo. All right, so we're back on the road. I had a little delay before that delay. It's 11 o'clock now, and official starts at 2 o'clock, so I feel like I'm pushing it. Good luck! Godspeed. Good luck!
Thank you!
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. All the racers have went by. For dinner, I'm making something that I'm super excited about. We'll see how it turns out. Sometimes I make these plans and they're disasters. My plan is to make this, it's called a pinwheel. And what I did was I took some moose tenderloin. Well, instead of just telling you, I did film it, so I'll go ahead and show you the film of me making it. This is pieces of a moose tenderloin. Like, this is the very end of a tenderloin. This is what my plan has been, and I've been really looking forward to this. First, I'm going to cut off this super thin part here. Put them over here in this pile. And some of this I'm going to end up hopefully doing for breakfast. Like that'd be a perfect little breakfast steak right there. Then I'm gonna use the rest of it for something that I think is gonna be really cool, but we'll see, maybe it'll be a disaster. So now with the rest of this, what I'm gonna do is trim it up. I'm gonna make like a spiral steak out of it with blue cheese and things like that. I want everything to be about that thickness right there. Okay, so my plan is this is Cajun blast. I just want to put some kind of Cajun seasoning on it. This is moose tenderloin. It's almost sad to put anything on it other than salt, but this is going to be a super cool. So hang in there if you're like losing faith. Because on top of that, I have blue cheese. I'm going to take this and put it into kind of like a spiral, and then I'm going to wrap the whole thing in bacon. Now my plan is to put a piece of butcher string around this whole thing to pound it down in the trail and put it in a plastic container.
I'm pretty excited to try it out. You could tell that that was just kind of like, I won't say leftovers, but if I wouldn't have done that with it, I probably would have just thrown it in my burger pile, and that would be a waste of good tenderloin. Okay, so that steak's coming along pretty nice. I got some mushrooms and peppers here. Put those in there. Well, here we go. This is a long-awaited little treat. I've been planning this for quite some time, and so hopefully it's as good as I hope it will be. We'll see. First bite, I would say very good. Very, very good. It may be a little overdone, which is my fault, but good flavor. Earlier, I'd been out on this trail, not to this spot. I've never been to this spot before, but I've been out on the Iditarod trail 2 or 3 times this year, checking out conditions, and I was actually scouting for a place to watch this race. Last year, I was at mile 13, and I have a video about that. And that was a fantastic trip as well. But much different than this one. This is kind of cool because the racers are stacked up almost right next to each other. Temperature-wise, it's probably about 20, low 20s, 22, 23 degrees out here would be my guess. It'll probably get down to somewhere in the teens tonight. It won't get into single digits, certainly. It's starting to get a little cold. I just have 2 layers on right now, this one, and 2 layers on the bottom, and I'm starting to feel the cold of it. It's probably dropped in temperature 15 degrees, and as the sun goes down, it's just going to get colder and colder. So I'll move this inside my tent here as soon as I finish eating. But if I haven't already said it, don't forget to subscribe. I do have a lot of winter camping trips. So we were on the Iditarod last year. Not too terribly long ago, I did the Iron Dog, which is a snow machine race to Nome, Kotzebue, and back to Wasilla. And certainly, I'm grateful that you took time out of your day to watch this. I hope that you found it entertaining or whatever it was you were looking for. One of the things that I think is real interesting about this race and these mushers and these dogs, sometimes you see people get a little flack about the dogs, and there's been a lot of, I guess, negative publicity from groups, shall we say, about this race and about the dogs. But everything that I've seen, everything that I've read, everything that I've experienced has been nothing but positive. These mushers, they love their dogs like people love their children. It's absolutely amazing how much they love their dogs. There's been mushers who have, their dogs have gotten sick or something happened and they've just quit the race, done. I was watching a YouTube video by Dallas Seavey earlier, probably a week ago, and he was in, I think, Finland. He'd flown his dogs over, he was mushing, and his dogs had a virus and got diarrhea. And so they're kind of working on dehydration. And so he held up for an extra day or 2. So most certainly he's not going to win the race. And he finally pulled out of the race, and he just said, you know, my dogs aren't having fun. My dogs aren't having fun. I'm not going to race them. And I think that that is the mindset of a lot of these mushers, is they love these dogs. And so when I made this stove, and I've said this in other videos, but in case you're just first tuning in, I made the stove out of a couple of propane tanks. When I made it, specifically kind of designed it or thought real hard about ways that I could do things so that I could, you know, number one, pack everything inside of itself. And number two, I wanted to be able to move this when it was hot so I could cook outside, because I never cook inside my tent because I don't want my tent to smell like food and attract bears. And so I get smoke in my tent. I got a little cap I can put on it right there. And then it comes out there, so you gotta block that off. Winter sunsets are always gorgeous. It's only about 7 right now, and I'm going to try to go to bed early because the northern lights are supposed to come out tonight, and unfortunately the northern lights only come out like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at some horrible time that nobody wants to be up. And so what's going to happen is my fire is going to go out, which is fine. My sleeping bag is plenty warm, but I'm going to wake up at that crazy time, and I'm going to want to start a fire so that I can go outside, look at the northern lights, come back in where it's warm. So I'm making some kindling so that I'll be able to quickly and easily make a fire in the middle of the night. One of the worst things, I think, is you're in your nice warm sleeping bag, and then you decide you're going to get up. You get up and you have to make kindling and do all these goofy things to try to get a fire going. And so I'm going to have all that stuff ready to go, so that when I get up, I can just rip a fire in. This is already dried wood. I'm going to put it underneath the stove so that it will, for sure, if there's any moisture at all in it, which I don't think that there is, it will dry. I've already laid out all my stuff for breakfast and coffee and all that, and I have it sitting off to the side so it'll be ready to go. And so I'm going to turn in early tonight, and it's still kind of sort of light outside right now. I have lights in here so we can see, but it's not horrible out there right now, and you can hear snow machines going by. There's a lot of traffic that went up the trail to watch the different places, you know, and there's lots of folks that went way up and they're coming back. Most people aren't going to spend the night. Some people have cabins and whatnot, but I'd be willing to bet you could drive the first 100 miles, 200 miles of this trail, and I bet you wouldn't find 2 or 3 people camping out. For some reason, it's not something that folks do. I mean, if they have a cabin, they'll stay in their cabin, but not a lot of people haul a tent out and set it up like this. But I really want to be able to get up at some crazy wackadoodle hour if the northern lights are blazing in the sky. Hopefully, we'll see them tonight. That would be awesome. That'd be like icing on the icing of the cake. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to turn in for the night, and we'll get up early in the morning when it's so dark, 30. Maybe make some coffee and check out the northern lights. So we'll see you a little bit later on.
Well, you can just hear that thing ripping. And I got my flue open all the way there, so it'll vent. It's still cold in here. You can see my breath here. It's supposed to be down to 10 right now for 12. fire going. You saw that get started a second ago. And so I've just crawled back in my sleeping bag. This is like, I think it's rated for 0. It's probably like 3 inches thick. And it was warm from my body heat before, so I'm just gonna chill in here. Well, not chill in here until it gets warm in this tent. It won't take very long because this stove's already starting to put out some good heat. Yeah, probably another 5 minutes or so, and it's gonna be plenty warm in here. Another 10 minutes, it'll probably be too hot in here. I'll have to open up some vents. We'll see. It's probably about 5 a.m. right now, and I've been out filming the northern lights for probably the last hour and a half, taking pictures of it. Anytime I've tried to take video, it never turns out very well, I think because the camera shutter has to be open so long. I don't know, I'm not really a camera guy. But while that's going on, I'm gonna make some breakfast and some coffee. I've been experimenting with the proper way to do a percolator, and so today I'm not going to put the stem in it at all, and I'll put coffee in this in just a second here. We can have oatmeal for breakfast, which means heat up some water. And I'll put a lid on that so that it boils faster. Now, I was recently at the store, I don't know if you can see this, and got this new coffee. It's called the Outhouse Blend. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Alaska Artesian Coffee. I don't know. You would think by the name of it, it's not going to be that great. But, like a lot of people, the catchy title caught me, and I thought, you know, I just have to try the Outhouse Blend. Well, it doesn't smell like it came out of an outhouse. That's a good thing. There. And I'm gonna put the diffuser on it here and set this off to the side. And once the water starts boiling, then I'll just drop the whole thing in. Usually what I've done in the past is I leave the stem in there. When you open it up, water shooting out and stuff, and maybe this is the way you're supposed to do it. We'll see. So we're gonna let that stuff go. I'm gonna go back out and check on the northern lights, see if they're still out in the sky. What a fantastic day to start the Iditarod on. I'm sure that they'll get into some storms as they move north. That's kind of part of, I think, the allure of the Iditarod. It's been about 10 minutes, and so this coffee's probably done, and I bet my oatmeal is done. And I have this glove, if you're wondering what that is. This handle right here gets pretty hot. And I'm going to put this on the very front of the stove because the front of the stove is cooler than the back of the stove. So far this trip has been, well, it's exceeded all of my expectations. It's been absolutely incredible. Oatmeal for breakfast won't be incredible, but it's not bad. The trail itself isn't that bad, but if you venture very far off the trail, bad things can happen. Well, the way I'm going to wash my dishes, and for you OCD people out there, this might be more than you can bear, but I'm just going to wipe it off like that. Paper towel. And I'll either camp again within the next day. I mean, I may leave here and go camping somewhere else. If not, I take this home and I'll wash it up real nicely and dry it and pack it away. As soon as I get done with any adventure, I always make sure that I clean up all my stuff right away and pack it back where I have easy access to it. When I took off for this trip, I was kind of in a time crunch because I've been busy last week. We went to the ceremonial start of the Iditarod in Anchorage yesterday, and then I stayed up last night for a bit, and then this morning first thing I got in my truck and I headed out. I just threw some food in a cooler and that was it. And I was really hoping, it's been a month probably since I had been out, and I was really hoping that I had everything I needed, but I was confident that after my last trip I'd cleaned everything up, I'd repacked everything, put it back in my truck, and that way when I got ready to go out again I could go quite easily. And so thankfully when I got out here, I think without fail I have every single thing that I needed, but it's because I packed it up when I got done with the last trip and put it all back in there. And so that made life a lot easier. So I'm going to finish breakfast, and the next thing, we'll probably go out and take a look at outside. I'm hoping it's just an absolutely stunning morning out. The plan today is to wait till the sun gets up so it's nice and bright. It's 8 degrees outside right now. It'll warm up probably in the mid-30s today before the day is done though. But so our plan will be to wait till the sun gets up, break camp down, pack it away in the snow machine, and then head back. So I'm getting ready to head out, and in my gear lofts I take the liners out of my boots and I put them up in my gear loft overnight because it's hot as sin up there. And so if there was any moisture in them, and typically speaking, you know, when you're out on the trail, even if you don't get them wet in the water, you're going to sweat just a little bit in your feet, and these big thick liners will absorb all that, and then your feet are dampish the next day maybe. And so I put them up there, dry them out really well, and then I know that I have a good day of dry feet / warm feet ahead. Oh, I got an eagle right there. And another one there. Huh. Well, howdy. So it is a gorgeous morning out here. So one of the things I'm going to do this morning before I really poke around too much, last night there was something that was by my tent. My guess is it was a wolf. I could hear it padding along. It got close to my tent and then it went out in that direction somewhere. And so I'm going to go out and just see if I can see some tracks, although this snow is really hard right now. And I heard him come up, panting a little bit, and then he kind of dashed off. And our best chance of seeing something will be if it went into this powder here. And so we'll just kind of run a perimeter check here. And I'll cut out a lot of this so you don't have to watch me just walk around. But if I find something, we'll check back in. You see this set of tracks here. I'm going to guess it was a fox. It was lightweight. Most certainly wasn't a wolf. It's my tent. That's probably about 25 yards away. Sleeping in a tent in the middle of the night by yourself and having hear a noise outside your tent, I guess it always sounds bigger than it was, right? Little tiny fox. I initially was getting up to go out and film the Northern Lights when I heard that noise, and so it stalled me out for probably an hour because I was checking. And then I finally took my flashlight and went out and kind of looked around. I didn't see anything, and so I went out and I was pretty cautious. I didn't get far from my tent and whatnot, but little fox spooked me out. How funny is that? All right, well, thanks for watching today. We still have a little bit left. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe.
So this is the Iditarod Trail.
there's the bungalow.
So I've cleaned out my entire tent. I got everything set on the tarp because the first thing that goes in my sled are the boards underneath this. So put everything on the tarp, fold up the tent, and then put the boards in the toboggan sled and then put everything on top of it. But I waited, I've even pulled up the stakes that hold my tent down, partially because it's always between that and folding up the poles. Those are the two coldest things that I have to do. And so I left my stove in here so I could warm my hands up and get the chill off one last time. Once I put my parka and all that on, I'm going to be totally fine. But if I have my parka on, so I brought my parka, yet I've only worn my coat up till now. But I brought my parka and I'll wear that on the trail going back. And it's sitting out on my snow machine right now getting cold. But once I put it on, it won't take very long at all to warm up. But it's that balance of right now it's cold. I'm going to pack all this stuff up and it's going to be cold. But if I had my parka on, I'd be sweating. And so I could have my other coat out, although I already packed it up. And so I think I'm just going to run with being cold for a while, put on my parka later. Maybe I'll put my parka on in between if I get too cold just to warm up. But this is kind of the last hurrah of warming up before I go and pack this all away. We'll take one last look at this so that you can see what it looks like. So I got a stool there, window back there. Yesterday I was talking about those vents. There's the back vent, and then here's the front vent. It's got a floor liner in it, or a floor saver, and the nice thing about that is there's a little bit of bark and stuff on here and snow, and before I take this down, I'll take that whole floor saver out and shake it off, and that way there's nothing in the bottom of the tent, because once you fold the white sidewalls up on it, if the bottom's dirty, then the whole thing starts getting filthy in a hurry. You can see I've got all my gear set out here on the tarp, basically. I ran my snow machine a little bit already just to make sure it would start and warm it up a little bit. So yeah, we'll warm up, finish warming up, and then we'll get busy. So the sun has finally come up and hit my camp. Started taking things down. I got everything loaded, strapped down, warmed up my snow machine a little bit, so I'm going to get my last layer of gear on and hit the trail, sorry. So the goal is not to get your snow in your feet, right? This has a snow skirt on it so that you don't get wind up your pants leg or snow or water or whatever. So I currently have 3 layers on the bottom. I have a layer underneath these. These are super insulator pants here. And then this layer here, there is some warmth to it, but more than anything, it's to cut the wind. It's like triple line Gore-Tex or something crazy. And then I got my parka. Might actually be warmer than I need. But I think right now, I'd rather be too warm than too cold. So we're gonna hit the trail here.
Thanks for coming along if you made it all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, and we got more adventures coming up.